So today we have what seems to be a very unexpected but pretty interesting rumor that I wanted to take a little bit of time to go over here on my channel. I think some of you will certainly be interested in this. And I also conducted a poll in regards to this rumor to see how you guys feel, to gauge whether or not this is something that you would be excited for, and if so, why would you be excited for it, and if not, why wouldn't you be excited for it? So I think it will make for an interesting video, but the rumor that we're talking about here is that apparently there is a PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale sequel being developed for the PlayStation 5, and it's not just Sony working on it, they're actually working with Capcom, and they're going to try to have it ready for the launch of the PS5 as well, which is just incredibly interesting to me. So let's go over it here. It says that a rumor has made its way to the internet stating that there's a reboot or a sequel of PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale being developed by Sony in coordination with Capcom. PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale 2, like its predecessor, will be a Super Smash Bros. Style fighting game. This means that the most popular characters from the PlayStation world will cross over to fight each other in the game. The game will supposedly be a 3D brawler action arena to be released at the launch of PlayStation 5. The original PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale was released in 2012 on PlayStation 3 and Vita, warmly welcomed by public and critics. The rumor first emerged when a presumed Capcom USA employee uploaded some confidential information on the internet, and the internet did what it does best. Consequently, the supposed leak took over 4chan, NeoGAF, and Reset Era. According to the rumor, Sony would be developing the title so as to publish it for the launch of 2020 for PlayStation 5. They will put a lot of money to finance this project because they think it will boost the PS5's appeal on launch. It will then be launched in 2021 on PC. This would be in line with Sean Layden's statements regarding how he wants Sony to publish their games on other platforms. However, there will not be crossplay. So this is very interesting to me because it just seems really unexpected, right? Like, I have to say, of all the games we can speculate about being at the launch of the PlayStation 5 and being there either day one or within the first year of the PlayStation 5's life cycle, I just wouldn't have thought of this game. Now, I'm not completely against it, me personally. I'll talk a little bit about that soon, but what I want to do is actually go to a community post I made last night on my channel. Now, the only thing with this community post is I wish I would have posted it sooner, so that way I could have gotten even more votes and even more responses. But as of right now, it's been 12 hours since I posted it, and I have 2,400 total votes, and 62% of you said yes, and 38% of you said no. And I have a lot of responses, and I may go over a few of them here. But I find it interesting because this is one of those situations where this is definitely not a game for everybody if it is true, and if Sony is really currently developing this for the launch of the PlayStation 5. I understand that. I think it is actually pretty understandable because when you think about what PlayStation is known for today when it comes to their big AAA exclusive games, frankly, a Super Smash Bros. Like brawler is not, I think, the first thing that pops up in people's heads. So it's understandable to think that nearly 40% of people who voted on this would say no. It's just not going to be a game for everybody. But looking at some of the responses I've seen here, a lot of people seemingly would be pretty excited for a sequel to PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, which is interesting to think. I've seen a lot of people saying that they love the game. I've seen some people say that it didn't fail per se, but it just never reached the same popularity level as Super Smash Bros. Has, and because of that, it just seems like Sony wouldn't really continue with it, or the mechanics were too different and people had a hard time adjusting. But somebody else says here that we have new characters that they can add. Spider-Man, Joel and Ellie, Detroit Become Human Robots, Infamous Second Son, Kratos from God of War 2018 and his son, Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn and those characters, Days Gone, and some others as well, which is true. I think that would be probably the most appealing part of modern day or a 2020 version of PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, is just seeing how many more characters on top of the ones they already have that they could add. Sony has added to that lineup substantially since 2012, so that would be interesting. Somebody else said, great game. I have the platinum. Somebody else said, I thought the game was a lot of fun. It felt way smoother and more responsive than Super Smash Bros. And different characters actually felt like they had different play styles instead of all of them being pretty much the same like in Smash. Unsurprisingly, I think its biggest problem was that it was too similar to Smash. I like the idea of it being a more hectic 4-player fighter instead of a traditional 2-player fighter like most, but I think it just needs to be more unique and focus on deeper mechanics. Somebody else says it was so much fun, I would love a sequel. Another person says that PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale was awesome. It had a few balancing issues, but I loved it. I thought that PlayStation All-Stars was a well-done game. It was a lot of fun. It sold rather well on both the PS3 and the Vita. Several months later, it was overshadowed by other games. Otherwise, it was solid. Maybe a few more game modes would have upped the replay value, etc. The timing now would be good, I think. And then another response says, most people couldn't help but compare its similarity to Smash Bros. So I would like a PlayStation property mashup again, but with more unique and original twists to it to add to its DNA and authenticity. It was one of those games that had loads of potential for even better improvements. I hope they don't quit on that IP. Somebody says, heck yes, the first one had a lot of potential, but sadly it got compared way too much to Smash Bros. So, yeah, I mean, as you can see here, reading a lot of these responses, it seems that people would be excited for it, and that the biggest flaw the first game had, just basing it off of what people who have played it are saying here, is that it was just too similar to Smash Bros. And because of that, maybe people just really couldn't latch on to it the same way. And it seems that if Sony is in fact doing this with Capcom, the number one thing that people or fans of the first game are going to want is for them to find a way to really kind of make it unique and stand out on its own, and not just be viewed as simply as a Smash Brothers clone. But it's hard to say if that would end up happening or not. The truth is, again, we don't know if this is true or not. We don't know whether we can believe this or not. It's one of these situations where if it is true, we may end up hearing more about it. If we don't hear anything else about this going forward, then maybe there's a chance this is just bogus and there's really just, nothing else to look into here. But I find it very interesting. Now, for me personally, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I would actually be really interested to see what it would be like to see a brawler type game made with PlayStation's characters. I think one of the more interesting conversations that kind of, you can't help but have when talking about this is, we know that a lot of Sony's characters more recently, they exist within like darker universes, right? Like they're almost like darker characters, like thinking about Joel and Ellie in a brawler type game, even other characters as well, but specifically like, Joel and Ellie, or even thinking about Deacon St. John from Days Gone, which came out this year. It would just be a little strange, I think, for some people to see, because you have to imagine, if this is true, it's not going to be like hyper realistic if it's a brawler, right? Like there's going to be over the top animations and stuff that you just can't really imagine characters like Joel and Ellie or Deacon St. John doing, because they're so grounded in a way that it would definitely be a little off-putting. But at the same time, if it's one of these games where it's just for pure fun, they clearly, there's no way they could do something like this and not include certain characters like that, right? That would just defeat the whole purpose of it. So, I don't know. You also have to imagine what the graphical style would be like, again, because a lot of these characters are like nearly photorealistic looking. Do you cartoonize them? And if so, how is that going to be perceived? Is it just too silly? Is it too far reaching? So these are some of the reasons why I could see some people voting no and why they wouldn't be excited, because it does sound like there could certainly be some issues, but a lot of people who've played the first one said it was an incredibly fun game, and that it pretty much just didn't get a fair shake because it was looking just too much like Super Smash Bros. But some people are going out here saying that it was better than Smash Bros. But maybe, people just didn't want to acknowledge that. I don't know. Again, I haven't played the game myself, So yeah, this is a situation where it is a rumor. We have to take it with a big grain of salt. We don't know if it's true. The likelihood of this rumor being true, I want to say it could be likely. And the reason why I say that is because we know that Sony has went down, on record saying that they want to start investing more into multiplayer titles, and this certainly would be a multiplayer title. Granted, it's not the type that we would have expected, but, it just would make sense in a way. How well it would be received, I don't know. What I do know is that if this is truly going to be a game that is there at the launch of the PlayStation 5, it certainly cannot be the only game there. People are going to be expecting at least one big AAA single-player game. That's what Sony's known for. Surely they have to know this. A game like, All-Stars Battle Royale 2 would not be enough at the launch of the PS5, especially when we know they're going up against, Microsoft releasing Halo, right? So, yeah. Likelihood of it, I think it's possible. I think it could be a real thing. I'm not going to say it's like definitely going to happen or for sure. Like we sit here and talk about a sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn certainly happening. It's going to be there. You know what I mean? The possibility of Ghost of Tsushima also being heavily developed for the PlayStation 5 and not just the PS4. These things seem very plausible and very likely. I wouldn't say that this is as plausible or as likely, but I definitely don't categorize it in the definitely not happening section, because it could be Sony, it could be their way of trying to do something, because apparently what some of you are saying is that the first one did sell well, and I'm not seeing anybody say that the game was like panned or critically, a total flop, but that it was just a game that needed some, big improvements that certainly could be made, for a sequel. So I don't know, guys. At this point, I'm going to ask you, let me know your thoughts down below. I appreciate you guys helping me out here on this poll, giving me some information as well as voting. Maybe we'll see if the scales end up changing significantly as this, poll is out there longer. But let me know your thoughts down below. Leave the video a like if you enjoyed it, and let me know, if you think this is likely or not. I'm going to be interested to see what you guys have to say. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.